Hey, what's up, everybody? So I got some good news I want to share with you guys today, and it's about the DNC, which is the Democratic National Committee, and they have just had their DNC chair race a couple weeks ago, and Tom Perez, who won the race, has announced that he is going to be doing a complete overhaul of the DNC staff, and he has asked every person who works at the DNC, from what I read, to hand in a letter of resignation by April 15th. And the reason that he is doing this is because he wants to overhaul the DNC and have a new, fresh outlook when it comes to the future. Now, I personally wasn't rooting for Tom Perez. I was rooting for Keith Ellison because I think that by the weeks leading up to the actual election of the DNC chair, it was basically a two-person race between Tom Perez and Keith Ellison, and I think Keith Ellison would have been the better choice. But I do think that Tom Perez is trying to make some efforts to reform the DNC. I would say maybe he's not going far enough, but I think that this is a step in the right direction. And my personal take on the DNC is that they've had issues in the past, and they've showed favoritism to some of the candidates that were running in the primary races. Most notably was Hillary Clinton during the Democratic primaries this past election. And they sort of did Bernie wrong because and there's been evidence that has shown that people within the DNC were collaborating with Hillary Clinton and giving her an advantage over Bernie Sanders. Now, I don't believe that the favoritism shown by the DNC is the reason why Bernie Sanders lost. I think that the reason Bernie Sanders lost was because Vermont and Bernie Sanders or excuse me, let me say this again. The state of Vermont has like 500,000 people, and Bernie Sanders was pretty much unknown outside of his own state prior to this election. And it's hard when you are an unknown candidate to go up against someone like Hillary Clinton, who's pretty much like a celebrity when it comes to politics. Like Bernie Sanders has been an authentic politician since day one. The problem is that he comes from a state that only has like 500,000 people, and I live in a county in Ohio, which is Summit County, that has almost the equivalent of how many people that live in Vermont. And it's just goes to show that if you come from a smaller state, you're probably going to have a more difficult time getting your message across and getting your name brand recognition out there. But you do have to give Bernie Sanders props because he was able to basically be neck and neck with Hillary Clinton once it was all said and done. And he came very, very close to being the DNC, or excuse me, the Democratic Party's primary victor or whatever. And but the reason he lost was because a lot of people down south, most notably black people down south, just didn't know him, and they voted for Hillary Clinton in overwhelming numbers. And yeah, Bernie Sanders did win some states by, I don't know, like very wide margins, but in those states, it was nowhere close in terms of like the amount of like electoral votes they had for like the primary race or whatever, as compared to like how many or like the advantages that Hillary was getting from these large margin victories down south. And I think that's the reason why Bernie lost the primary election. But I've seen people who were super pro Hillary during the primary and during the general election now look back and see that their choice of who they voted for in the primary is one of the reasons why we have a person like Donald Trump right now as president. And I think that the DNC, if they really, really want to, take back the White House, take back the House and the Senate, and start winning again at the state and local level, then they're going to have to, be a populist party again and actually care about the needs of the American people. And, if Donald Trump comes out and does something that has a negative impact on our lives, then you need to attack him with substance. And I think that's the way they'll win. And that's all I really have to say. I'm a little tired right now. I'm really looking forward to what you guys have to say about this in the comments below. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button, and have a nice night. Peace. Or actually, good night. Peace.